Our reading this week focused on two key ideas: telecommunications, the internet and wireless technology, and securing information systems. Regarding telecommunications, the internet and wireless technology, our reading covered how important networks are to business. As employees are all using computers such as desktops or mobile devices to communicate, this interconnection of computers is a network. Although a standard office building uses a local area network to connect all the computers into one functioning system, as the network covers a larger geographic area, it is classified into different types of networks. A wide area network covers a large geographic area like a continent or the globe. What we think of as the internet today is the world's largest wide area network that allows business to communicate not only between sites, but also with customers such as online retail. As the internet is ubiquitous, standards are used for storing, retrieving, formatting, and displaying information to make interaction on the internet possible. For instance, nearly any user of the internet will be familiar with a web address starting with HTTP. This stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol and is the communication standard that transfers pages on the internet. In order to find websites, many users rely on search engines, which usually uses keywords to find sites that match what a user is searching for. However, as technology continues to evolve, search engines are now capable of using images and video to search the web. As 50% of all searches are from mobile devices and 96% of US adults own mobile phones, it is necessary to understand the importance of wireless communication. Cellular systems provide data transmission for users not on a network and can support data speeds in the gigabit range using 5G technology. However, users can also use Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to send data at a range of 10 meters and 50 meters respectively. These have drastically changed the way businesses work by providing the ability for a seamless connection by having a user walk within range after the devices have been configured. Regarding securing information systems, our reading discusses the fact that all computers are vulnerable to malicious software, hackers, internal threats, and software vulnerabilities. These are real problems that cost companies significant amounts of money every year. Not only are the malicious programs able to destroy data that cannot be recovered, but hackers use ransomware to force companies to pay them to release the data if they do not have adequate backup of their data. Not only can businesses have serious financial consequences of having their IT infrastructure compromised due to employees being prevented from doing their work, but companies face legal liability if it is determined they did not do enough to protect the private information of their customers, employees, or business partners. As an example, Target had to pay $116 million as compensation when there was a hack of their payment systems in 2013. It is important for companies to consider the consequences of a data breach when determining the resources that are allocated to IT security. If they invest too much money, then they waste capital and potentially cannot afford other projects, but if they invest too little, it can be even more costly to the company. Thus, a company must complete a risk assessment to determine the level of security that is necessary. Once that is complete, a company should ensure their security policy supports the need of the company to protect them from liability. In addition, disaster recovery planning and business continuity planning are necessary to ensure there is little to no disruption in the business when security failures do occur. It is important to note that there are many laws that also pertain to records retention of companies to ensure they do not commit fraud, embezzlement, or theft. When there is a discovery request related to the information that is related to evidence, a company must provide that data or risk financial or criminal penalties. If the company does not have a robust documentation, retention, and storage policy, it can be very expensive for a company to then assemble all the required data. My selected reading focuses on the security aspect of IT networks and is in an article from the Harvard Business Review entitled "Create a Company Culture That Takes Cybersecurity Seriously." In the article, the authors discuss that cybercrime cost the US $16 billion in 2024 alone, and that most of the breaches are due to human failure, such as misconfiguring systems, mishandling of information, and manipulation by bad actors. But if the problems are mostly human-related, then so are the solutions. There are three main challenges for most companies to achieve these security updates. First is that beyond awareness, companies usually do not measure security behavior to make actionable decisions to improve security. Second is that most senior executives do not see the value of IT security investments and initiatives. And third is that to create a culture of IT security requires a process of continuous improvement and reevaluation. However, company-wide support needs to be involved to make that happen, and that is often lacking. The authors discuss three stages to motivation to change a culture. First is to connect with employees and convince them you are working on the same team. Second is to reduce their uncertainty regarding the process changes by using your authority and highlighting those who are exhibiting the behaviors that you want to promote. Third is to inspire action by highlighting what employees stand to gain by making the change, as well as getting them to publicly commit to the change. By creating a change in the culture of the company, IT security can dramatically improve even in a short period of time. For example, Helsana reduced their rate of employee failure for phishing email tests from 15% to 3% within 5 months.